Hi guys, good to see you again. Frankly, you're the only people I want to see other than my hairdresser. I'm kind of liking this being home and doing this stuff, but if I could have all you here, it'd be a whole lot better. I did bring a lot of stuff from our science room though so that I could do some bird things and other things around the yard today. And Monica can pan over that way and see that I have the tables covered so the squirrels don't go to the bathroom on it because they're up in the tree and they're eating these flowers. And I have some right here. Let me show you. See these flowers? These are called tulip poplars. It's a kind of magnolia and they're full of nectar. And if you stand underneath them, they drop these on your head when they eat half of it and they don't want any more. And then they go to the bathroom on your head. I just love squirrels, don't you? They're so much fun. Anyway, I thought that today I would show you some of the birds that have been in my yard this week. This is only some of them, and you know that I save everything that dies. If it dies, I freeze it, I dry it, I pin it, I put it in a tube, I hang it up in the room somehow with the taxidermist work. But then we have stuff to show you really fast. So this week, when I was home, having a little cup of coffee in the morning, and all of a sudden I saw a flash of bright yellow out of the side of my eye, right out back here. And I looked, and first I saw whole groups of warblers coming through. These are warblers. This one's a Townsend's warbler. Do you see that yellow on that? All these warblers in my backyard have pretty much that bright lemon yellow. So I saw a Townsend's warbler, and then I saw 10 more of them, and then I saw 10 Audubon's warblers, and they have a yellow patch on their rump. And then came the goldfinches, and they were headed for the rosemary to eat the seeds because the flowers have finished blooming. So there was that yellow flying by. It was like the morning of yellow. And then I saw this, and I go, oh, that's a female western tanager. She doesn't have really bright colors. I've saved these over millions of years. All of these have died hitting windows in places where I've been, and I just pick them up and dry them. These have been freeze-dried, so they're like beef jerky inside. And this is a female western tanager. But then I knew that not far behind, there had to be a male. And I call these guys flying popsicles. This one, the first day I became a ranger, he was showing off for his mate, and he slammed into my office window. My very first day, how do you do? This is a male western tanager. Look at that. Is that beautiful or what? I'm so sad that he died, but if it's good for anybody to find it, it's good for me to find it so I can show you. That was sitting on my little tinkly water thing, decorative water thing, looking right at me in the window, or so I thought. I realized he saw his reflection, and he thought it was a male. He had to fight off. So it was the morning of yellow with flying popsicles. Western tanager. That's a riparian bird. That means they like to be near creeks and little rivers. And with that pond back there splashing away, they like it around here. I don't know whose yard they're nesting in. And then this bird is one that Robin in kindergarten will know. Robin, look at this. Here's the American robin. This is a boy one because he has a black head. And I can't get him out of here. How am I going to get him out? Oh, here I go. Let's pull him out of here. This one's been stuffed with cotton. A student at West Valley College did this one. See how he has a black head? That's a boy. If it were a female, she'd be all gray on her head. And this is a grown-up. When they're young, they have really spotted breasts. See, I save everything. Aren't you glad? I could try to talk about these birds, and they wouldn't be here because they don't show up on command, but this helps me do it right here. And do you notice how I've packaged them in these tubes? These are tubes that protect fluorescent lights, those lights that save energy. And at Home Depot, you can buy these tubes to put over them when you're installing those lights. That means putting them in your house so that you don't like crack it accidentally. And then these little caps keep them inside, but they work really well for this. So I made something do. And you know those little packets that come in vitamin pills and medicines? That's the kind of salt, and you put these inside here, and they keep the creature from getting moist, and I never have any problem with these. I've had these birds for almost 30 years. Here's another bird. I heard this one this morning. This is a downy woodpecker. Isn't that pretty? That's a boy because he has red on his head. This one's not in very good shape, but I saved him because he's the only one that I have to show you. See his insect picking beak and his pecking beak? You know, with birds, it's all about beaks and feet. It's all about beaks and feet. And a little bit about something that they have in their chest. Before I move on, I'll show you that. You know this. It's a wishbone. We all try to get it at Thanksgiving so we can like pull on it, make a wish, and whoever gets the bigger half is the one who gets to have their wish. These are all dried out, and it's harder to do them when they're moist and they've just come out of the turkey or the chicken. But this is what made a bird able to fly. That went in their chest, that special bone. And second graders, you remember Deinonychus antiropus? We read the story about Ropa. She had this, and she didn't fly, but her scales had turned to feathers, and she could use them like a broom to sweep her prey when she ran after it, right in front of her, and then she could pull it to her mouth. It was like a gathering thing, like when you watch a hawk grab a rabbit or something. They'll come down on it, pull it into their body, and then bite into it. And that's how Deinonychus antiropus did it. And that made her on the way to being part of the family of birds. So you know what I say. Some of your parents will disagree with me. Birds are dinosaurs. And finally, this was a spring so that they could push against it and it would go boing and it would shoot their arms back out. And all of a sudden, they could flap and fly with only half the energy. So they had to make the energy to push down, to push it in. But then when they let their wings go up, it went boing, and they didn't have to push back up against the drag of the air. That's what made them birds, but they're still dinosaurs. And I said it was all about beaks and feet. It is all about beaks and feet. One day, many years ago, oh my goodness, when Mr. Kyle was a little boy in kindergarten, and if Mr. Kyle's watching this, I have a picture of you and myself at a beach field trip that the parents organized. And we were up near Half Moon Bay at some private property on the beach, and we had a whole tide pools, looking at seabirds. We built a teepee out of driftwood, and we had the time of our lives. And then at some point during the day, we found this dead bird. This is a western grebe. Its eye used to be the color of, you know those red cherries on ice cream? Just maraschino cherry red. And this is its foot. It has a little flipper foot because it's a diving seabird, goes after fish, and it needs those little flipper feet. And I wanted to bring the bird home so I could have it stuffed. But I was riding in a mom's Mercedes, and she didn't really want it in her Mercedes. So I looked at the kids and I went, find a Ziploc bag from one of our sandwiches. So they ran off and they found one, they brought it back, and I took out my Girl Scout pocket knife. It was dead, and I cut off the head, and I cut off the feet, and I slipped it in there, and I stuck it in my shirt. And I got this home. And Mr. Kyle, that was when you were in kindergarten. So at least we have the most important parts of a bird. We have this. Every time I eat a chicken, I save the wishbones, or a turkey. Which that's only at Thanksgiving. Otherwise, I just buy it at the deli. And it's beaks, because that beak is going to tell you what kind of food they like to eat. And feet. Whether they'll be walking, they'll be scratching like a chicken, they'll be using their talons. Let me show you the feet of a great horned owl. Look at this talon. Whoa, that's gnarly, huh? That'll do some damage. And owls don't carry their food in their beaks unless it's a tiny little thing, like a little mouse or something. They carry them in their talons because they're balanced for the heavy stuff to be carried underneath them and to the back. If they carried heavy things in their beak, they'd face plant. Oop, and they couldn't take off and fly. So this is for a rear carry and also to kill their prey. That's a pretty cool foot. That has a whole nother story, but that one's a long one. We'll be back in a minute. Hi guys, back again. Well, I had to go have a potty break. This is my nephew Mike, but I call him Goob. He's married to the woman holding the camera right behind you, Monica. This is Goob with his friends, Hawk, and they're out in the meadow where the bass outlet is now. They built the bass outlet there, so this meadow isn't there anymore. So this picture is very special to all of us because can't find very many meadows like that. And here's Monica. She's holding the same bird. Now they have a friend who's a falconer, and he's one who trains these birds how to hunt. And both of these guys look like they're having a pretty good time. This is a bird that's been in my backyard. I like it. It's a barn owl, you know, the heart-shaped face, but it's been eating the bats. And I wish it would stop eating the bats, because every time I have bats, bats disappear. And those would be Mexican free-tailed bats. They're the ones with the little skin between the tail and their hind foot. And they find them and they eat them, and I don't know who to love more. This is a dead one I found, a piece of a dead one. It's by the side of the road, but I thought you'd like to see what their skull looked like in the back. See their brain case right here? Kind of cool. Sorry that it died. But, you know me, I pick everything up. This is the owl that goes, whoop, 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 whoop. I told you about that. They make that funny little noise. This is a screech owl. This one got hit by a car. See how little they are? That's a grown-up. A western screech owl. And I usually get about 5 of them. They have 3 babies. They like to eat insects more than anything. Sometimes a barn owl eats them. So I have birds of prey in my yard. Birds that feed on other animals. This is a picture of an owl that a friend of mine, I don't know if he drew it or he had it drawn, but this shows the 2 sides of an owl's head. One ear hole is up and one ear hole is down. That helps them hone in on their prey better by not having their ear holes balanced. They don't have flippy flaps like we do, but they do have an eardrum inside. Isn't that a neat picture? I like that picture. I can hear the hummingbird. Ooh, she's kind of cute. All right, so now I wanted to show you some of the other birds. Well, you know who that bird is. We have crows and we have ravens too. This is a blue jay who hit the window and died. They're called scrub jays because they like to hang around scrub oak trees, those ones that have pokey leaves on them. This is a scrub jay. They're pretty sassy, and when I see them around I'm a little worried because they go into a lot of my bird nests and eat the baby birds and eat the eggs. See that salt? It's called silica gel, and it absorbs any moisture. Some of these animals look better than others. This particular one was caught by a cat. It let its guard down, so it's a little beat up. I had to trade the cat a liver snap for it. Cats will do anything for liver snaps. And this is one I think all of you are familiar with. These are called house finches. They're not native to here. They were brought here for pets. And you know these boys, and they have the beautiful, beautiful song, right? And the red oranger that they are, I guess you would call that vermilion, like the cinnabar. The more red orange they are, the more likely they are to get to mate. The females prefer that color. I have one in here too, but his head's only like a little bit orange and kind of pumpkin chest. I don't think he's going to get married this year. I think he's going to have to wait till next year. We'll see what happens. These are the towhees. Now this is the one that's in the lemon bush. boy, are they good parents. And when they're really mad, and I'll pick all of those silica gels up later. When they're really mad, they make a lot of noise. And when they're trying to keep after their babies and keep you away from them, they sound like a squeaky wheel that you want to put some WD-40 oil on. Drives me crazy. But I'm glad that they're in my yard. This isn't the only kind of towhee, though. There are a pair of this kind called the brown towhee, and this kind. And we didn't used to have these here. These guys showed up, oh, just a couple years ago, and now not only do I have one pair, but two pairs who fight over the food for their young. There's one pair nesting in the bush behind the pond, in the ceanothus or wild lilac, and there's another pair right in the bushes across the street. Like, I can see them come out of there when I wash dishes at the kitchen window. But look at that beautiful bird. And it's really funny. It says my name. They go, Terry, 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 all day long. Kind of spooky. But that's their main call. They have other calls too, but that's how I always know that they've showed up. This one's called a spotted, see the spots? Spotted towhee. So there are 4 of these around, and there are 2 of the brown towhees. And they fight over territory. It gets pretty brutal out here. Now I wanted to show you other kinds of jays. These are the ones that eat all your pancakes at the cafeteria at Yosemite. You cannot leave your plate uncovered. I have learned you have to put something over your plate very tightly, otherwise the stellar jays will come and eat all your food just when you're going to get a cup of coffee, and it'll all be gone. And then this one right here, this is the scrub jay, looking pretty and not dead. The rest of these are gray jays, Mexican jays, eastern jays, but the 2 we have here are this one and this one, right here, right now. And I just heard the chickadee. Did you hear the chickadee, Monica?
Yep.
Yep, that's so cute. And then here's a picture of all the tanagers. Remember the flying popsicle? Oh, I'm dropping stuff. Remember the flying popsicle? Look at them. Is that beautiful or what? But all of these are tanagers too. We don't have these right here, but sometimes some of them might enter California at some place. This is the one that you can see though if you live by a creek, the western tanager. Aren't those the prettiest birds you've ever seen? So I have a box full of birds. Oh, Monica's got the Hummer. Hi, Hummer. That's the mommy with the messy nest. And she's happy because I gave her some nice cold fresh nectar. I change it like 3 times a week now, even if it's not empty, because the sugars start to break down and it can make them sick and be spoiled food. So make sure you guys keep after those. And when you wash them, put a little bleach in there and let them soak with hot water for 5 minutes. And then rinse them very, very well. Isn't she too cute?
She is.
I think she likes Monica better than she likes me. When I come out, she flies away. When Monica's here, she sticks around.